Hellshire Beach in St. Catherine, oh, the memories. It has over the years suffered from the impact of erosion and overfishing. But is there a way to turn things around? I hope so. And joining us now to discuss this is manager of the Ecosystems Management Branch at NEPA, Monique Curtis. Hey, Monique, good morning.
Morning, Monique. Welcome to Smile
Hi,
Jamaica.
hi, morning, Neville. Morning, Dahlia.
Hi.
Morning, Jeremy. Yes.
I had a picture, I had two pictures. Unfortunately, I don't have it in my phone now of Hellshire a couple of years ago and Hellshire now. And the difference is amazing.
Right.
Why are we losing the beach? Let's start there. Why are we losing the beach?
Right. So generally speaking, we know that it has undergone a significant level of change in the beach profile. So you speak about the width of the beach, and the studies that have been done from as far back as 2011 shows that there was loss of about 40 to 80 meters of sand. And it has been linked to a number of factors. We look at the degradation of the marine ecosystems that adjoin the area. So your seagrass beds have been impacted. Your coral reefs, there's an actual coral reef offshore at Hellshire Beach, and the studies have shown that what was once a coral-dominated reef has now shifted to an algae-dominated reef, meaning that there has been some level of pollution as well as impact from unsustainable fishing practices that has impacted the health of the reef. And still looking at your coastal systems, we have other issues that impact the health of your coral reefs, such as climate change, changes impact resulting from sea surface temperature rise that results in increased bleaching and probable death of your corals. And that's just the coastal part of it. Now, if you're looking at the beach, the land side of it, we don't often speak about your sand dune ecosystems. And this is one, of course, of your viable ecosystems that protects your nearshore environment. And when you have structures going into that space, it disrupts the dynamics of the sand moving along the shoreline. And when you have structures that are placed in this zone, it results in wave action coming up onto those buildings, taking your sand away. And because there's so many things operating and resulting in that cumulative impact, we see that we've had a drastic change in the space over the years. And there are other things that you don't see as obvious. The levels of pollution from land-based sources. So the activities that we do on land, clearing of your sand dune, clearing of your watershed systems, increased runoff into the marine environment. It further degrades the area. And all of these things come together essentially to result in what we see there today.
Boy, Monique, I'm looking at it and I'm wondering to myself, is there hope? And all the factors you've named, how do we restore it? Is it possible?
So we have to be very careful when we use the term restoration, because we don't want to give persons the hope that we can go back to what was originally there. Okay. What we do, while we do use the term restoration, we try to define parameters that are actually possible. So in looking at activities that can be done in the space, we have to investigate all the causes of what would be, impacting and resulting in this change. Now, I spoke about your marine systems, your coastal systems. It is possible, and we do it here. In Jamaica, we have projects that the government undertakes in collaboration with NGOs that manage these spaces, as well as academia. So in your marine spaces, we have in Jamaica coral nurseries, and we do outplant corals to improve the status of our coral reefs. We do have what more familiar to persons would be your mangrove projects. We do have a lot of mangrove projects to restore mangrove ecosystems. And we have sand dune restoration projects as well. So we do have on the international space and locally, and there is a drive in this decade to do what the UN calls Decade of Ecosystems Restoration, where there is a focus on looking at these types of areas to see what can be done to improve the coastal ecosystems. And pairing with that, we have to look at what's happening on the landward side of things.
Yeah.
It makes no sense for us to intervene on the coastal side without looking at what changes need to be done to the social and the infrastructure that's within the space.
Yep. Monique, in response to my first question, and you gave so many different reasons, I'm not certain I heard that you say we, people, we don't cause none of this problem.
Yeah, well, you have to look at what your individual behavior contributes to even the status of your environment. So some things that you take for granted, your solid waste disposal, that contributes to our pollution issue. So when you improperly discard your garbage, do not recycle your plastics, do not partake in the plastic ban. What happens is it ends up in your environment. And the waste that we dispose of, even though you might do it on land, it can end up in Hellshire. It can end up on another beach in another country. So even your individual habits does have some impact on the environment. And then when you look at things such as we have occupied spaces without the planned development part of it, looking at the environmental factors why you should not be building within a certain area because of increased risk from climate change, increased risk from extreme weather events. When you're in that space, looking at your infrastructure and the fact that it's not planned to be in that space, you can result in an impact. So in looking at the restoration potential of Hellshire, there has to be an examination of all the players in the space. It's a lands owned by UDC, but it's held in trust for the cooperative, the fisherman's cooperative. And then you have the local community, the persons that sell on the space, the resource users. So there's a lot of stakeholders that would be involved in the rehabilitation of the space. And then when you rehabilitate, we have to maintain so that we don't go back to where we are now.
Yeah.
So what are the plans that you have to rehabilitate and to maintain Hellshire? Is NEPA launching out a project at this time, or what do you have in the works?
So we're in a very early phase of actually doing what we term our master plan. I mentioned before that we are not owners of the beach. It's held in trust for the cooperative, the fisherman's cooperative. But as environmental stewards and managers of the natural resources in Jamaica, we do see where steps needs to be taken to bring all the stakeholders together, come up with a vision for the space, get that buy-in from all the stakeholders so that when we're moving forward to what would be rehabilitation, we have that level of buy-in. And when we go to funders, we can say like, yes, we have this agreement from the stakeholders. So we are at the first phases of developing that master plan. We have gotten work off the ground. We have engaged a consultant who is now going through the process of consulting with the cooperative, the persons occupying the space, to look at what are the issues and make recommendations on what can be done, not only from the landward side, looking at the buildings and how we can lay out the space, have them move back probably to a more safer area of the beach, but also what can be done in the marine space, the restoration of your corals, seagrass systems, as well as looking at a hybrid approach. From the biodiversity side, you want to be looking at a nature-based approach. So you want to integrate restoration of your systems alongside the use of your hard structures.
Yeah, Monique, sorry to jump in because we're almost out of time. I just saw a tower and it says here they've installed a monitoring tower. Do you have anything to do with that? When I say you, NEPA, do you guys have anything to do with that?
Yes. So we are a part of a regional project that's being funded by the Association of Caribbean States, as well as our partners from Korea. And what they have lent us support to do is erect us a monitoring tower that when we do monitor the shoreline movement over the years, and I mentioned before that we've seen 40%, 40 meters lost in previous years. But what we want to do going forward is monitor remotely using video monitoring systems, the entire stretch from the fishing beach going up towards Port Clarence remotely.
All right, we have to go. Thank you so much. Hopefully, even if it can't get back to what it was, we still can get back to a beach, because it looks like we don't have a beach out there anymore. So hopefully that will happen. Good work, and great to see you. God bless you. Stay safe.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, man,
Take
thanks.
care.
Monique Curtis, manager of the Ecosystems Management Branch at NEPA.
On the other side of the break, we check in with the grassroots community